Hi there, this is Solitary Ronin from Solitary Ronin Films, and welcome to another Backlog Cleared video. Today's backlog that I have cleared is my Criterion collection. There is an asterisk because there's 3 box sets that I haven't completely watched yet, but I'm not going to count them. So this is the rest of the Criterion collection that I have now cleared the backlog. So the Wong Kar-wai set, even though I've seen most of the films in this set, I haven't rewatched them in the Criterion set yet. So this one I have not cleared. I also haven't cleared the beautiful Zatoichi set. Again, I've seen some of these films, but I haven't completely cleared it. But seeing there's 25 films in this set, it would take a little while to actually clear them. And I just really want to do this Criterion cleared video, basically. And the Bergman set, I mean, I've seen most of the films at other times in my life, but I still haven't watched them all in this set. Again, when I collaborate with Nazarene Broad, we did some Bergman films, and we'll probably get back to that, so that's probably the reason why I haven't cleared that completely. But this is everything else in my Criterion collection that I've cleared. I'm not complete in Criterion, nor will I ever be. If you want to go and see proper Criterion collections, then obviously go check out Daisuke Beppu and James at 20th and 21st Movies. So I'm just going to go through these. I haven't actually counted how many Criterions I have. Some I have on DVD and Blu-ray. There's obviously some of these titles I have on DVD, but I've got on Blu-ray on other labels. So it's only when you take them off the shelf you realise that I do actually have quite a few. Again, I haven't counted, but if somebody wants to count as I go through them, I would appreciate a comment down below, because I'm not actually sure myself. The other caveat is, of course, it's not as if I'm going to stop buying Criterion collection releases. I'm still going to buy them, so this is just this moment in human history, and this is my Criterion collection that I've cleared. Obviously I did a separate video on the Eclipse box sets that I've cleared my backlog of. Again, you can find that on the channel. So again, I'm not going to talk too much about the films because it would take too long. I have massive piles, but enough about my health problems. So if you hear any crashes and bangs, it's probably because I've knocked over a pile. I will be reaching around, so to speak, not in the biblical sense, as I do have piles of Criterion sitting about. So let's start over here with Spine number 2, arguably one of the best films in the Criterion collection, Kurosawa's Seven Samurai. This is just the DVD set. I think the Blu-ray set, is that out of print? I'm not quite sure. Yeah, it's a desert island film for me, has just about everything in it. Obviously I have it on Blu-ray elsewhere. Then we have Spine number 6, Jean Cocteau's La Belle et la Bête, which up to recently was my favourite Beauty and the Beast version, but the Czech version of Beauty and the Beast, or the Virgin and the Beast, might even be better. Next we have number 16, which is Samurai 3. Some of these might actually be out of order there. And I have number 15 on DVD, Samurai 2. Bizarrely, I never had Samurai 1 on DVD. But then 14, 15 and 16 came out in Region B Blu-ray. I'm assuming there's a Region A release of this as well. Again, this is one of the most underrated trilogies that nobody really talks about. Toshiro Mifune as the well-renowned swordsman. They're absolutely beautiful. It's almost like the Archers did samurai films, and a tremendous central performance by Mifune over the 3 films. Number 18, The Naked Kiss, an amazing Samuel Fuller film with one of the best openings in cinema history. Just an absolute Sam Fuller classic. And then we have Spine number 19, another Sam Fuller film, Shock Corridor, which is almost as good as The Naked Kiss. Next we have number 24, Kurosawa's High and Low, which is I have on DVD and I also have on Blu-ray. This is just a perfect example of Kurosawa's technique. The first half is basically in a room, but he still makes it compelling with his compositions and where he puts characters in relation to other characters in the frame. It's one of his best kind of modern films. Next we have number 34, Tarkovsky's Andrei Rublev. This is just the DVD. Obviously I have it on Blu-ray elsewhere. Number 35, Clouseau's Le Diabolique, which is a really influential film, seminal, and it'll put you off swimming pools for life and boarding schools. Number 35 is Le Diabolique, strangely enough. This is the DVD. Number 39, Suzuki's Tokyo Drifter, with the amazing theme song. Such vivid colours. Number 44, The Red Shoes, which recently, obviously, Criterion released a 4K of. I'm not 4K dependent, but obviously, when I am, that'll probably be one of the first ones I buy. Number 47, Insomnia, the original one, not the Christopher Nolan remake. And what do you know, number 47, Insomnia on Blu-ray. I do have quite a few doubles. Number 51, Terry Gilliam's Brazil. This is a 3-disc DVD set, which has the Love Conquers Oil, not Love Conquers Oil, Love Conquers Oil studio cut, and obviously the proper version. And this is the Blu-ray, which is strangely enough a lot smaller and fits much better on the shelf. Then we have number 58, Peeping Tom, Michael Pill's wonderful late career masterpiece that ended his career pretty much, or severely dented it. Number 52 is Yojimbo. And number 52 and 53 is Yojimbo and Sanjuro. This is a Region A Blu-ray set, because you kind of have to. Next is number 63, Carnival of Souls, or Night of the Living Dead before Night of the Living Dead. Number 64, in the argument for my favourite film of all time, Carol Reed's The Third Man. This is just the DVD version. Obviously I have it in Blu-ray several different places. Number 65 is Rushmore. This is just about apart from Isle of Dogs and French Dispatch, his new one, I think all of Wes Anderson's are on Criterion. This is Rushmore, his second film. Number 68, the other Jean Cocteau masterpiece, Orphy. Number 93, Black Narcissus, another perfect Bill and Pressburger film, and I wouldn't be surprised if a 4K comes out of that at some point. Number 94, I Know Where I'm Going. Why doesn't this have a Blu-ray? There must be some reason, because it's arguably Michael Powell's favourite film that he made. Number 97, Do the Right Thing. This is the DVD. And this is the much more colourful Blu-ray edition. Number 98, La Ventura by Antonioni, which I thought was good. I know that's controversial. 101, Bergman's Cries and Whispers, which is better than good. 103, The Lady Eve, Preston Sturges, also better than good. This is biting analysis here. 114, My Man Godfrey, which is another wonderful Carole Lombard film, but I'm biased. Number 116, Kurosawa's Hidden Fortress, with a rather creepy cover. 133, George Sluzy's The Vanishing. That's the DVD, and that's the Blu-ray. 134, Haxan. This is the Blu-ray, which is a wonderful film from 1922. 138, Rashomon. You may have heard of that. 139, arguably my favourite Bergman film, Wild Strawberries. The older I get, the more powerful it gets. 148, Ballad of a Soldier. It's just the DVD. I'm not sure there's a Blu-ray of that, I'm not quite sure. 150, Melville's Bob Le Flambeur. Fantastic. Number, what is that number? 106. It is one of my criticisms of Criterion. Some of the spine numbers are really hard to see. Yeah, I think this is actually out of order. This is ridiculous. An inquiry must actually go into this, because this is 309. It's Sugetsu Monogatari by Mizuguchi. What on earth is spine number 309 doing here? Somebody's been at it. Spine number 157, The Royal Tenenbaums by Wes Anderson. 159, Kurosawa's Red Beard. Again, that could do a Blu-ray. Number 163, Hopscotch with Walter Matthau and Glenda Jackson. Ned Beatty gives a wonderful performance, directed by Ronald Neame. Number 165, Man Bites Dog on DVD. Again, I'm not sure you can get that in Blu-ray. I'm not sure you'd really want it in Blu-ray. High definition nastiness. 166, Jim Jarmusch, Down by Law. 173, The Life and Death of Colonel Blimp. One of the greatest films ever made. And another fantastic Archers film. 176, both versions of The Killers. This is the DVD double edition. 190, Throne of Blood. This is just the DVD. And there's Mifune. Looking very Mifune. 197, Night and Fog. Yep. 216, The Rules of the Game in Renoir, in this nice slipcase. Some of the DVDs in the old Criterions did have interesting packaging. 218, Le Cercle Rouge. This is a DVD. Also, this has had a 4K release on Studio Canal. As I try not to knock stuff over. 220, Cronenberg's Naked Lunch. 221, Akiru. This is the DVD. And what do you know? There's the Blu-ray. 226, Onibaba. I have this on Blu-ray on another label. 233, Stray Dog. Another early Kurosawa masterwork. That, again, that needs a Blu-ray, please. Very similar to The Killers. This is 239, and this is two versions of The Lower Depths, one by Kurosawa, one by Renoir, from 1936 and 1957. 272, The Grim Reaper by Bertolucci. I did a video on this a while ago. It's a really interesting early Bertolucci. 441, The Small Back Room. One of Powell and Pressburger's most underrated films. It's the black and white film that came kind of in the middle of all their Technicolor masterworks. David Farrar doesn't wear shorts, which is quite disappointing. Again, Small Back Room seems to have wormed its way into the wrong number. I can only apologise for that, because this is 248. This is Videodrome, and this is probably my favourite Criterion packaging of all time. Because look, it's a videotape. This is the DVD. Just wonderful packaging. 260, Les Yeux Sans Visage, Eyes Without Face, Franjo's poetic, perverse masterwork. 261, this is a DVD set of Bergman's Fanny and Alexander. 267, the DVD edition of Kagemusha. And what do you know? There's a Blu-ray. 280, Sword of Doom. Really underrated. That's the DVD. And surprise, surprise, there's the Blu-ray. 288, Orson Welles' playful mockumentary, F for Fake. Yeah, this is going to be awkward now. Give me a second as I try to... Yeah, this isn't going to work out. 297, Bresson's Au Hasard Balthazar, favourite donkey movie. 300, The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou by Wes Anderson, which has the most moving end credits, I think, that I can remember, and I'm not really sure why, but for some reason it makes me quite emotional. 302, Kobayashi's Harakiri, which I do have on a Blu-ray somewhere else. (291) Ernst Lubitsch's Heaven Can Wait. This is the DVD. There is a Region A Blu-ray, which I'll hopefully try and get at some point. Don Amici and the Marvelous Laird Krieger. 318 Samurai Rebellion. 319 Sword of the Beast. These should all get Blu-rays. 313, I think these are out of order as well. This is ridiculous, I can only apologise. This is Kill. Another wonderful, underrated samurai film. I mean, hopefully these all get upgrades. A film that I think is going to get an upgrade. 317, The Tales of Hoffman. This is a DVD, but I do think there's a Blu-ray coming. Off Studio Canal has it in Blu-ray. 319, yeah, my numbers are all messed up, it's terrible. Bad Sleepwell, another Kurosawa modern day film, and again another one that isn't on Blu-ray, as I'm aware. Maybe a Japanese Blu-ray, quite possibly. 322, The Hefty Mr. Arcardin, aka Confidential Report, which has a bunch of stuff. I think it has 3 different cuts of the film. This is just the DVD again. I don't think this has a Blu-ray, but again, please correct me. 306 The Samurai. Yes, I realise there's even more out of order. I'm going to have to fire my librarian that keeps these all in order, supposedly. And this is the Blu-ray. This is a Region A Blu-ray, and who knows, I might even buy the Region B Blu-ray in a sale, because I love The Samurai. 331 Late Spring. Again, I do have a bunch of Ozu in the backlog, but this one is absolutely fantastic. Apple peeling of the highest order. 335 Elevator to the Gallows, which is just awesome, or Lift to the Scaffold as I always call it. It's that out of the past. I always call it Build My Gallows High, and I always call it Lift to the Scaffold, not Elevator to the Gallows, but never mind. 352 Jigoku, which is arguably the first Japanese horror film from 1960. This is in DVD, but again, this could do with a Blu-ray upgrade because it's quite wonderful. I did a video on that ages ago. 363 Bresson's Mouchette. Yep. 379 The Burmese Harp. Yes, these piles are getting dangerously high. 383 Jules Dassin's Brute Force, which Arrow Academy has in a box set. 367 La Jetée and Sol Soleil. 386 Mizoguchi's Amazing Sancho the Bailiff. Grim, but grim. 396 Billy Wilder's Marvellous Ace in the Hole. 399 David Mamet's wonderful debut House of Games on DVD. And there's the Blu-ray. I wish they would release the Blu-ray of Homicide, but that's just me. To me, Homicide is in the running for the best American film in the 90s. Certainly one of the best American films that nobody talks about. Um, 415, Drunken Angel, another Kurosawa film that needs a Blu-ray. That's just the DVD. 430, Le Faux Filet, or The Fire Within by Louis Malle. It's one of my favourite Louis Malle film. 432, the very colourful and shiny Mishima Life in 4 Chapters by Schrader. This lovely gold. Next, 437, Dreyer's Vampire, which is coming out on Eureka in a special edition. This is the Region A edition from Criterion, obviously. 431, again, spine numbers. Wes Anderson's debut, Bottle Rocket. Not a huge fan of this, I have to say. But again, I'll be giving it a rewatch at some point. 459, Louis Buñuel's The Exterminating Angel, which is absolutely fantastic, which might be my favourite Louis Buñuel. But again, I need to rewatch all his films as well. 465, Kurosawa's De Descadène, which is going to be in part 1 of my Kurosawa Without Mifune series that I promised about 3 months ago, and I still haven't done it. 475, The Wonderful Friends of Eddie Coyle, which I have in Blu-ray and Eureka. Number 478, That's Last Year in Marienbad, if you can actually read that. This is the DVD, and also have it, I think, on 2 other Blu-ray editions. 480, The Human Condition. Maybe the greatest film of all time, who knows. Masaki Kobayashi's, I was going to say his masterpiece, but he's done 2 or 3. Just to my shame, I spent years of my life without seeing that film. 486, Mamet's Homicide, which does need a Blu-ray upgrade. One of the best films about race in America. Number 507, Nicholas Ray's Bigger Than Life. Just fantastic. An underrated Walter Matthau performance as well. 536, Terrence Malick's The Thin Red Line, which I do have in Blu-ray elsewhere, but who knows, I might pick up the Region B Blu-ray as well, just to future-proof. 537, Bergman's The Magician. Lovely artwork. 540, The Darjeeling Limited by Wes Anderson, which actually watching it for the first time, I was prepared for it not to be that good, but I think it's actually a good film. I mean, it's not amongst his best, but 551, Guillermo del Toro's Kronos, which in the grand scheme of things might actually be his second best film. 552, Broadcast News. Loved this film for a long time. 555, Alexander McKendrick's Perfect Sweet Smell of Success, one of the greatest scripts ever written, and one of the best films ever made. 562, Blowout. Yes, I had this in Arrow. Yes, I've double dipped. on Criterion. This is region B. 563, one of the 2 films in the Criterion collection called Something Wild, but we'll get to the other one in a little while. This is Jonathan Demme's, with a wonderful performance by John Sayles as a traffic cop for 30 seconds. That's not the only reason I bought it. 564, one that has recently got a Blu-ray release that I need to pick up. This is Pale Flower, which is a wonderful little gangster film from 1964. 568, Robert Aldridge's Very Strange, Kiss Me Deadly. 579, one of those films that blew me away when I saw it, Victor Sonstrom's The Phantom Carriage from 1931. This is the DVD. And you know me, I had to pick up the Blu-ray. This is the Region A Blu-ray. So good. It's still so good. Now you have to excuse me as I attempt to play a little bit of Criterion Jenga. 573, Sajid Ray's The Music Room, one of his several masterworks. That's the DVD, and that's the Blu-ray. 587, The Three Colours. This is a Region A. Yep, it's Shazlovsky. What are you going to do? Well, be upset because he's dead. That's what you're going to do. 591, 12 Angry Men. It's the DVD. And that's the Blu-ray. 582, Ernst Lubitsch Designed for Living, which is a pre-code 1933 because it's basically about a ménage à trois, but they somehow got away with it. Subversive and fantastic. Number 595, Francesco Rossi's The Moment of Truth. Last year I did find lots of Italian films that I absolutely adore that aren't from the big names. This one is about bullfighting, so it's certainly not for everybody, but it is still an interesting watch. 596, Three Outlaw Samurai, which is a fun little samurai film, strangely enough. 600, Anatomy of a Murder, Otto Preminger. 610, one of the discoveries of last year, The Organizer. This was recommended by John Sayles as one of his favourite films when he was in the Criterion cupboard. Marcello Mastroianni, but not as you would normally see him as a union organizer. It's funny, it's tragic, it's just an absolute stunner. This is a Region A Blu-ray, but if you are region unlocked, I would highly recommend picking this up because it is stunning. 613, Bergman's Summer Interlude. 620, The Dardennes, La Promesse. Again, I did a Dardennes series and they were a breath of fresh air. This is their, well, not their first film, but their first film when they kind of reinvented themselves. Their first 2 films are pretty much nearly impossible to actually see. But La Promesse is just the absolute stunner. 621, it's another Dardenne, Rosetta. Not one of my favourites, but it's certainly up there. It's still like a stunningly good film. I think this one won the Palme d'Or, maybe. Something completely different, 625, Eating Raoul, with a wonderful lurid cover, Paul Bartel and Mary Warrenoff, just wonderful. 645, The Ballad of Narayama. This is the 1958 version. 648, Chronicle of a Summer. Again, I did a review of this, it's on the channel somewhere. This is a very strange, part documentary, part drama. It's a really interesting process. 653, Gate of Hell, which I did a review of because I have another edition of that as well. 656, Jubal, which strangely enough I did a random review of this. This is a really fun psychological western with Glenn Ford and Ernest Borgnine. Speaking of Glenn Ford, he's 657 in Delmore Davis 310 to Yuma, the original. Even though the Russell Crowe Christian Bale remake's not actually that bad. 658, Haskell Wexler's Medium Cool, which is a really wonderful, strange, again, part drama, part documentary, part real life. 669, another wonderful Sajid Ray film, Charulata, or The Lonely Wife. Good to see Ray getting some more releases. More of that later. 662, Harold Lloyd's Safety Last, the most iconic moment in Harold Lloyd's career, hanging from that clock. 664, Life of Haru, another Mizoguchi knockabout comedy. 667, Seconds, the amazing Seconds, John Frankenheimer and his purple patch. I do have the Eureka Mass Cinema, this is just the DVD of Criterion. And arguably my favourite, Ern Lubitsch and Carol Lombard, sadly this was her last film, To Be or Not to Be. That's the DVD, and this is the Blu-ray. I should really get a t-shirt with that printed on it. 676, Rennie Clare's I Married a Witch, which is a little gem. 677, The Uninvited with Ray Milland, nice little ghost story. 662, again, another revelation from last year. Elio Petri's investigation of a citizen above suspicion with Gian Mario Volonte, who again I had just this idea he was just the villain in spaghetti westerns. He's so much more, as we'll see later, but this is another one I would recommend highly, and it's another wonderful Italian film. This one's from 1970. Right, where are we going now? Number 700, Fantastic Mr. Fox. It's another Wes Anderson and a lovely packaged edition. Where am I going to put these now? Excuse me while I do Criterion Jenga again. Number 710, Franzau's Judex. Again, a really underrated film from 1963. So much going on in it. Stylistically, just absolutely stunning. Just an absolute gem. And again, this has got really wonderful artwork as well. I mean, that's beautiful artwork in the front. Oh, we almost had an accident there. 713, the Jacques Demy box set. Again, I did a video on this. This was a mixed bag for me. Some films I really didn't connect with at all, and some, like Donkey Skin and Bay of Angels, which I really loved. So this is 713's the spine on the box set, but 714, 715, 716, 717, 718 and 719. 712 is Scanners. Again, lovely artwork. They do seem to do quite a nice job with Cronenberg releases. And why not? 727, the classic, The Innocents. Deborah Carr, just awesome. Again, this is insightful analysis you're getting here. 736, Frank Capra's It Happened One Night. One of those films that's a template film. How many films do you see a road trip with two people who start off and they can't stand each other, and then by the end they can stand each other? Probably never been bettered. 742, The Palm Beach Story. I would say it's good Preston Sturges, not great Preston Sturges. 750, Ride the Pink Horse. That's probably euphemism. Directed by Robert Montgomery, the actor. This is a really strange noir, which I did a video on. You can check out on the channel. Really interesting, with a really strange title, and again, love the artwork. You know, some Criterions are kind of hit and miss with artwork, but sometimes they really hit the spot. 764, Terry Gilliam's The Fisher King. 772, Shizlovsky's probably his best early film, Blind Chance. 776, Moonrise Kingdom, which was one of the last, well, that's not certainly true, one of the last few Andersons that I hadn't seen, but this one is right up with his best, I think. I think it's quite underrated. Not that I see lots of polls on Wes Anderson films or anything. 778, another Italian treat, A Special Day, with Mastroianni and Loren, playing somewhat different people than they usually do. 779, Mulholland Drive, which again's got a Studio Canal 4K, I think, coming out, or is it? 782, the Apu trilogy by Ray, Pather Panchali and Parahito and Apur Sansar, just fantastic. We're getting there slowly. 788, Speedy by Harold Lloyd. Yes, the one where he gives somebody the middle finger. 795, Gilda, with the unbelievably pink spine. Really subversive, lots of things going on under the surface. 796 and 797, The Emigrants in the New Land. Just watched this recently. It's brutal. I mean, there's brutal and there's brutal, and this is brutal. Adapted from a famous 4-volume novel in Sweden. Max von Sydow and Liv Ullmann are just fantastic as a couple who emigrate to America, to Minnesota. Bits in the Civil War, bits in the Sioux Uprising. But it is absolutely brutal and grim. It gives you perspective, or Spinal Tap might say too much perspective. 804, A Brighter Summer Day by Edward Yang. Again, controversial, but I just thought this was good. I know everybody says it's an absolute masterpiece. That's fair enough. It just wasn't for me. It's a good film, but 806, Only Angels Have Wings, Howard Hawks, Cary Grant, again playing a bit of a different character than he usually is. 819, Here Comes Mr. Jordan, which would later be remade as Heaven Can Wait with Warren Beatty. 862, Kanoa, A Shameful Memory. I think this is available in Criterion Blu-ray. I might have to get that at some point. Even though the DVD is a 4K transfer. Again, I did a review of this a while ago. This is just a excellent film from Mexico. Yeah, pretty stunning. based on real life events, sadly. 8:10, In a Lonely Place, Nicholas Ray and Humphrey Bogart. Gloria Graham. 8:23, The In-Laws, a film I'd never heard of until a few years ago. This is so much fun with Peter Falk and Alan Arkin. The famous serpentine scene is just absolutely fantastic. And then I didn't realise it was actually remade with Michael Douglas and somebody else that I can't remember. But this is anarchic fun. 8:24, Muriel, or The Time of Return by Rennie. This kind of gave me a headache. I did a review of this. An interesting film by Rennie, as most of his films are. Not sure I loved it, but 8:26, Terrence Malick's The New World. I think it's kind of underrated. This is the 172-minute version. 8:31, Orson Welles' The Immortal Story, the one he made for television, I believe. It's only 58 minutes long, but it's still really good. Length isn't everything. 8:30, Chimes at Midnight by Orson Welles, which is almost a masterpiece. I don't know, not quite sure, but it is absolutely fantastic and one of Welles' finest performances. 8:33, Jacques Tourneu's classic Cat People. 8:37, one of the best things in Criterion, Shizlovsky's Decalogue. Yes, it's technically not a film, it was a TV show, but they certainly don't make TV shows like this. Well, ever. We're getting there, only 3 piles to go. I applaud you for your patience if you made it this far, and again, I apologise for the numbering issues, that's unconscionable. 8:40, The Executioner, a bizarre black comedy that I did manage to get on eBay really cheap because of the damage. As if that really matters. The film works fine. 8:41, Lone Wolf and Cub. Beautiful addition of the 6 films, just so good. So good. 8:42, Kurosawa's Dreams, with a moving performance with Martin Scorsese as Vincent van Gogh. 8:47, The Asphalt Jungle by John Huston. I'm not really a huge John Huston fan, but that's certainly one of his best. 8:49, His Girl Friday, which does have... does this have the 1931 version? Yes, it does. It has the 1931 version as well. Obviously the Hawks version's better, but that's just me. 8:60, this is the other film called Something Wild. I did a review on this a couple of years ago. This was recommended by Gray, 1951. You should go and check out his channel. This is a really tough, interesting film with Carol Baker and Ralph Meeker, about a sexual assault and the effects of that sexual assault. I can understand why it perhaps doesn't have a Blu-ray, but it probably should, because it should be more widely viewed. It's a really interesting, good film. 8:60, Mildred Pierce with Joan Crawford, which is quite fantastic. 8:64, Being There, Peter Sellers and Hal Ashby, getting really good. 8:70, Orson Welles' Othello. This one has 2 cuts, 1952 version and 1955 version. One's 93, one's 91. 8:72, Ghost World. Great Steve Buscemi performance. 880, Nicholas Ray's They Live by Night. 888, Tarkovsky's Stalker. 889, really nice surprise, The Breaking Point with Michael Curtiz. Just absolutely fantastic, and an amazing last shot, which I'm surprised they got away with. Did a review of that as well. 896, The Lure, which is actually one of the newest as far as time. This was made in 2015. Granted, that's already 7 years ago, but 898, Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me. Might be my second favourite David Lynch film, I don't know. 901, The Philadelphia Story. 902, Desert Hearts, which stands up really well. This was 1985. 903, Jabberwocky with The Weird Case. It's Terry Gilliam's, is it his non-Monty Python debut as a director? 909, Seminole Night of the Living Dead. Good to see Criterion release Night of the Living Dead. 913, I've said it quite a few times, this is my favourite Scorsese film, The Age of Innocence. It's just absolutely perfect. 917, The Awful Truth. A proto-Cary Grant. Still in the embryonic stages of that Cary Grantness. 926, Manila and the Claws of Light. Again, I did a random review of this quite recently. Stunning, stunning film. If you haven't seen it, please go watch it. Let me know what you think of it. 939, A Matter of Life and Death by the Archers. It's practically a masterpiece, and it's probably not even in my top half dozen of my favourite Powell and Pressburgers. That's just how good they are. 940, one of the most underrated films of the 80s, and just an absolute stunner. Edward James Olmos and the Ballad of Gregorio Cortez. Again, if you haven't seen this one, please try and check it out. It's an absolutely beautiful, wonderful film that's still relevant, even more relevant nowadays. And it's an absolute stunner. It's one of those films, when I saw it, it just absolutely blew me away. And again, I think I did a video on this probably about 3 years ago or something. Um, 945, Sidney Poitier in A Raisin in the Sun. Amazing, blistering performance by Poitier. Just a wonderful film. 942, Malik's A Tree of Life, which I do really need to rewatch. This does have an expanded version as well, which I still haven't watched. Does that mean I'm not Criterion complete then? 951, David Byrne's Wonderful True Stories. Loved this film since the first time I saw it. Came out in 1986. Granted, I'm a Talking Heads fan and a David Byrne fan. Great music and just a wonderful, quirky little film. Yeah, I think we're going to get into some trouble here. 952, Orson Welles butchered Magnificent Ambersons, but it's still absolutely fantastic, which just gives you the power of the man. 88 minutes, should have been about 120 or something like that. Again, how the studios treated Orson Welles is one of the great cinematic tragedies. But even in this form, the Magnificent Ambersons is pretty stunning. 955 Panique, which is a really good French film from 1946. 956 24 Frames. 957 Mikey and Nicky by Elaine May with Peter Falk and John Cassavetes. Rough as hell, but also a lot of fun, but certainly rough around the edges. But enough about me. 959 In the Heat of the Night, another Poitiers, and another amazingly understated performance by Rod Steiger. 960 Clouseau's La Vérité with Brigitte Bardot from 1960. Very good, but a bit overlong at 128 minutes. 962 Visconti's Death in Venice, which again was good, but again a bit overlong, 131 minutes. 963 Danny Glover in To Sleep with Anger. Again, I did a review of that some years ago. Really good, fantastic film from Charles Burnett from 1990. 966 Edward G. Ulmer's Detour, a wonderful little cheap noir. 975 Michael Haneke's Divisive Funny Games, the original, not his shot-for-shot remake that for some reason he did with Tim Roth and Naomi Watts. 977, it's cliche but probably my favourite David Lynch film, Blue Velvet. 967 Alan J. Pakula's first of his Paranoid trilogy, Clute. 983, one of the greatest films I've ever seen in my life. One of the most gorgeous films I've ever seen in my life. An absolute stunner. Bondarchuk's 1966-1967 War and Peace at 422 minutes. Just gobsmacking. Every image is just like total eye candy. Excuse me. It's just eye-wateringly good. Even the bits that are a little bit slow perhaps are still like absolutely gorgeous. Just an absolutely stunning film. Just jaw-droppingly amazing. 994 Local Hero, Bill Forsyth, a little gem, absolutely perfect. And yes, I've talked about this ad nauseum, and people are probably fed up listening to me. 999 John Sayles Matewan, one of his many masterworks in my opinion. I did cry a little when I heard that Criterion were releasing this. And then Spine 1000, a box set that I have actually watched everything in it. The Godzilla set, which yes is a bit unwieldy, but it's also kind of wonderful. Perhaps a nostalgia piece because we all remember, well, a lot of us remember watching them on terrestrial television at tea time. But just so wonderful, even though it doesn't fit in people's cells. 1003 All About Eve, classic Betty Davis performance. And what do you know, 1004 is now Voyager, the kind of melodrama that I should absolutely hate, but it's just about perfect. Apart from the somewhat overwrought score, but it's just an amazing film that I really shouldn't like, but I do. 1009, one of my favourite films that I've seen in the last couple of years, Holiday, This is Cary Grant, Katharine Hepburn, George Cukor the year before Philadelphia Story, but I think this is even better than Philadelphia Story. It's completely predictable, but it doesn't matter because it's just so good. In this edition, this is 1938, and it includes a 1930 edition of the film as well, or version of the film, which is based on a play, and it's a lot stagier and it's kind of theatre actors, whereas you add a couple of stars and it just pops off the page and it's just absolutely amazing. It's a perfect example of a film that's completely predictable. You know exactly what's going to happen, doesn't matter. 1011, Failsafe, or the straight version of Doctor Strangelove, both based on the same novel. 1024, The Wonderful Destiny Rides Again, which is a western but also the blazing saddles of its time, because it kind of satirises the western as well. Marlena Dietrich is fantastic, as is James Stewart. 1025, arguably my favourite Wes Anderson, The Grand Budapest Hotel, which does have lovely packaging. They do go out their way for Wes Anderson. I don't know whether Wes Anderson has shares in Criterion or something, I'm not quite sure. 1030, Scorsese Shorts. I had this in VHS, so it was really good to get it on Blu-ray. 1035, another title that was rumoured to be in Criterion for so long, and then when it came, well, pleased, is that the right word for come and see? Just absolutely, it's the greatest war film of all time in my opinion. It doesn't do heroes, it doesn't do glorification of guns and violence, and it doesn't do that thing that quite a lot of war films do of saying, oh, war's terrible, but you know what, we secretly kind of like guns and explosions and heroes. This doesn't have any of that, it just has brutality and horror. There is a wonderful extra featuring Roger Deakins, one of the greatest cinematographers of all time, and how he likes to watch Come and See every now and again just to see that cinematography, which is kind of a nice thought of Roger Deakins just sitting in his house every couple of weeks just popping in Come and See just to... 1043, Christ Stopped at Eboli, another Francesco Rossi with Gian Maria Volonte. This blew my doors off. 1979, it's a full 220 minute TV cut. Not much happens. Volonte is a political prisoner who just gets sent out to the sticks basically to stew in his own juices. Just walks around the village for 4 hours, but it's just incredible, and I have no logical explanation why, but I guess that's just art. That's just pure cinema. 1053, Gregory Peck and the Gunfighter, Henry King, one of my favourite westerns of all time. Short and to the point, it's only 84 minutes. It has a great ending and the lesson of the ending. This is a 4K restoration. Again, this was something that was rumoured on Blu-ray, not necessarily with Criterion, but on Blu-ray for so long, and it was so good to finally get it on Blu-ray. 1057, Jarmusch's Ghost Dog, Way of the Samurai, Forrest Whitaker, career best performance I think. As an urban hitman who uses the Bushido as a code. Just wonderful little Jarmusch touches. 1059, Cronenberg's Crash, just absolutely wonderful. And I don't know whether it's coincidence, but my copy has actually got a little dent in it, and I've just kept the case because it's Crash, man. 1064, again another film that I've talked about ad nauseum on the channel, but Alan J. Pakula's Parallax View, the middle film in his Paranoid trilogy. All the President's Men would come after. Clue, it was before, but for me this is the best one. Still relevant. Warren Beatty's finest work, and it has one of those just perfect, wonderful 70s endings. Don't worry, we're getting there. 1085, Howard Hawks Bringing Up Baby. This was another one that just didn't have a Blu-ray for so long, and then when it was announced, it was just so good. Yeah, you actually realised 1938 that Cary Grant and Katharine Hepburn also did Holiday as well. Pretty impressive. This is another one I was happy to see in the Criterion, or a Blu-ray in general. Belgick's deep cover, with a lovely artwork in the front, with Lawrence Fishburne, arguably his career best performance. Jeff Goldblum, arguably his career best performance. So good. Another one that I was happy to finally get in Blu-ray, 1078, Nightmare Alley, with Tyrone Power. Still creepy, still uncomfortable. Still haven't seen the Del Toro remake. I will at some point because I do like Del Toro, obviously. But this one's been in my head for years, and it was great to finally have it released on Blu-ray. Another one that was absolutely great, getting a Blu-ray release finally, 1102, Devi by Saijit Ray. Another masterwork by arguably the most underrated world cinema master in the business. This one's from 1960 and it's fantastic if you haven't seen it. And my favourite Coen Brothers film of all time, one of my favourite films of all time, Miller's Crossing 1112. I mean, this is literally perfect, one of the best scripts of all time, the production design, the acting, the score. Again, this is one of those films that is one of the 30 odd films that's in my favourite 10 films of all time. It's just so perfect. When you consider they went from Blood Simple to Raising Arizona to this, it's just so mature. Again, I know Coen Brothers fans who don't actually like this because it's not as quirky or wacky as some of their other films, but it's just so good. I mean, it's literally one of those films that's perfect. Everybody's absolutely top notch, and it's just an absolute stunner, and it's great that it came to Criterion, even though also I had a Blu-ray on elsewhere, but to get in Criterion, it's so worthy of Criterion because it's just absolutely perfect. So there you have it. Apologies for the length of the video, and apologies for some of those films that were actually out of numerical order on the spine numbers. Again, I will fire my entire staff that fills my shelves for me. That's an egregious mistake, and I apologise deeply and sincerely for that terrible faux pas. So that's my backlog cleared in my Criterion collection, with a couple of exceptions, those 3 box sets. But like I say, I'll continue to be buying Criterion collection, but this is, for this moment in human history, this is my backlog cleared of Criterion, and I can focus on some other labels to try and clear. My indicator titles are now under 20 to watch, and then I'll be complete on indicator. Obviously, I do get pre-orders from indicator every month, even though I'll have to figure out what to do about those US only titles that they've released in July. And I've still got Eureka Masters of Cinema backlog to get through, and Arrow Video, which is probably my biggest backlog of Arrow titles. There's a reason why I haven't really joined in the Arrow sale for probably the last 2 years, possibly 3 years, because I do have such a big Arrow backlog. So hopefully you'll join me as I attempt to clear more of my backlog of my titles, and I'll spend the next 3 days putting all of these Criterions back in my shelves in the proper order. So thanks so much for watching. Please let me know what Criterion titles I'm missing and which editions I should really get as far as extras and such. What's your favourite Criterion release, or what's a film that you really want to see on Criterion? And like I say, hopefully you'll join me again for more backlog cleared videos. This is Solitary Ronin from Solitary Ronin Films, saying thanks very much for watching, and farewell.